Okay, good evening. Good evening, everybody. And welcome to the Committee of 100's 13th Vision Award ceremony. My name is Shelly Repp, and I am chair of the Committee of 100. Our Vision Awards celebrate public and private achievement in responsible urban planning, land use, design, and historic preservation. On behalf of our membership, we are pleased that so many people are here this evening. Thank you very much. As you may remember, the Committee of 100 last year celebrated our 100th anniversary. In the early 20th century, large and smaller cities nationwide sought to reimagine their growing urban centers, what their growing centers look like, in order to serve their citizens better and bequeath to their heirs a beautiful and livable city for all. Washington, D.C. was no exception. The Committee of 100 has, over our 100 years, remained true to our mission to be a champion of excellence, responsibility, and activism in public policy and design throughout the District of Columbia. We seek to protect not only the familiar federal and environmental places in the district that draw tourists, but also the vibrant neighborhoods in which we all live. Copies of the Committee of 100 history are in the lobby near where you came in. Please take one home with you. Over the last 100 years, many social and political challenges have persisted, such as the need for better planning and design and the need for more park and open space. But new concerns have arisen more recently that demand response and action, including the need for affordable housing, environmental sustainability, among others. As times evolve, the Committee of 100 has evolved also. Many of this evening's honorees from across the city are working to make a difference in a wide range of areas. They are all visionary. Let us get started. A quick comment in passing: due to time constraints, the remarkable accomplishments of our awardees will be summarized in brief on the stage this evening. However, there is more detail in the program. They are all impressive. We are honored to have Colbert I. King of the Washington Post as our guest speaker to kick off this evening's award ceremony. Mr. King is a Pulitzer Prize award winner, incisive television commentary, Howard University graduate, and Washington native. He participated in the drafting of the Home Rule Act, and throughout his career has worked to create a more equitable Washington, D.C. He joins us tonight to address some of the challenges he sees facing the city. Please join me in welcoming Colby King.
I want to thank you, Shelly, for that kind introduction. My name is Colbert I. King. I don't recognize the person you just talked about, but I think he sounds like a pretty impressive person. I'd like to meet him someday. But this is what I do know. It's an honor to be with the Committee of 100 for your Vision Award ceremony. And I thank Bill Rice for the invitation to come. Thank you, Bill. I'm also glad to be here with my wife of 63 years, Gwen King. She's here to make sure that I go home right away. But the Committee of 100 is really the city's North Star. If you don't know what that term means, it's a North Star is what influences us and what inspires us. And the Committee of 100 has been that for this city, a guiding light on development and historic preservation in the nation's capital. It's not to say that city leaders have always followed your bright, shining light, but the committee has been steadfast in its dedication to making this city livable for everybody who calls this place home. I'm also honored to share this evening with individuals and organizations which are being singled out for special recognition. Your efforts are a fulfillment of the committee's vision, and you are to be honored and applauded. Finally, I'm happy to be here in this church. The history of the United Church of Christ is intertwined with my own church, St. Mary's Episcopal Church in Foggy Bottom. Our church was named St. Mary's Chapel for Colored People in September 1867. 2 years earlier, United Church of Christ was recognized as a congregation. But there's another connection between this church and my family of Howard University graduates, including my sister and brother and my wife. Members of this church were largely responsible for the founding of Howard University in 1867. Of the 17 original incorporators of the bill which established Howard University, 14 belonged to First Congregational Church, including General Otis Oliver Howard, for whom the university was named. For many years, this church was the only place in segregated Washington where Howard University could have its commencement services. So it's a deep honor for me to, a son of Howard, a daughter of Howard, to be on this hallowed ground. Now, that ends the pleasant part of my remarks. Shelly has given me 3 heavy subjects to cover. He wants it all done in 10 minutes because you have a long agenda. Sorry, but I can't make them fit. But what I can do is say a few words about how this city looks through my 85-year-old eyes. Except for 2 years in the Army and 3 years in the Foreign Service abroad, most of my life has been centered here in the District of Columbia. I was born in 1939 and raised in parts of D.C. where largely black neighborhoods stretched from Georgetown to Foggy Bottom to the Southwest waterfront. Through the eyes of an outsider, these were communities of poor, working-class black people, crowded in crowded, seamy, unpleasant, substandard housing and alley dwellings, places that you wanted to get away from as quickly as possible. That's not the way we saw it. Poor, maybe, but close-knit with a sense of community. Families held together by mutual experiences, personal relationships, schools, and churches. We had also small businesses, barbershops and beauty parlors, and local social clubs, and teachers and preachers, and a few actual homeowners like the kings of Foggy Bottom. Our churches were not just places to worship, but safe spaces where people could come together, not just on Sundays, but during the week, for fellowship, mutual commiseration, and support, including economic and financial support. Yes, we pulled together dollars and cents to help people pay rent, to buy food when money ran short, or someone got laid off, which happened a lot to people who worked as janitors, laborers, store clerks, and who were domestic workers. My father was a laborer for many years. My mother was a domestic worker. I think of those days and what happened the same way I regard America's discovery of the Western frontier. I think of wagon trains and cavalries and rifles and people called frontiersmen and pioneers and settlers. I think of the removal of Native Americans from their land, some peaceably, some by force of guns, but displacement nonetheless to far-off places, segregated, called reservations. We in Foggy Bottom and in Georgetown and the southwest waterfront were, like Native Americans, displaced from our land, but not by treaties or cavalries or guns, but with eviction notices. You have no idea what loss it means to people trying to maintain their community through kinships and with neighbors. It's no small matter that 19th Street Baptist Church, a pillar of the West End in Foggy Bottom, is now located on Upper 16th Street Northwest near the Carter Barron Amphitheater. That Rock Creek Baptist Church, a mainstay in Foggy Bottom, is now in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, after failing to make a home in Petworth, Northwest DC, as it tried to follow its members who had been displaced. Or at my family church, Liberty Baptist Church at 23rd Street, between H and I, where I was baptized, 12 years old. It's now over in Southeast, gentrified Southeast on Kentucky Avenue, not far from the Anacostia River. Today, my church, St. Mary's, is the only predominantly black church left in Foggy Bottom. The backbone of our black community was our churches. Displacement broke our backs. The psychosocial impact of breaking up tight-knit communities that shared family obligations and cultural values and moving and scattering them to largely impersonal, often hostile parts of white neighborhoods in the district had consequences that have spanned generations. Some people speak of what happened to indigenous people in my Foggy Bottom community in the same terms: displacement and gentrifying efforts at the hands of white people. It was that. It was more. It was trauma, a pattern of loss of home, loss of culture, a weakening of social bonds that has been passed from one generation to the next, a collective emotional wounding across generations. Let me share with you a grim fact that I established last April. On Sunday morning in our nation's capital, where is the largest congregation, assemblies of black fathers in a single congregational setting? Not at the Washington National Cathedral, probably not in all the combined black churches in the district. When church bells ring on Sunday, the single largest congregation of DC fathers, black men in the prime of their life, will likely be found in the Department of Corrections. With more than 1,700 men incarcerated at the jail, 913 report having one or more children. Hi, Phil, come on in. It's free. Phil Mendelson, chair of the DC Council. Wanted to introduce you to Phil. 1,700 men incarcerated in the jail, 913 fathers, one or more children. No church can compete with that. What's more, 61 of 109 women in custody also report having one or more children. That means, as of this moment, hundreds of DC children have a parent behind bars. And the matter of incarcerated parents isn't limited to the Department of Corrections. While the DC Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services doesn't formally track youth who have children, I was told by the deputy mayor's office that they know of at least 12 kids who are fathers in DYRS. Instead of spending Sundays responding to calls from the pulpit, they're spending time behind prison walls, regarding and responding to orders from guards. I suspect there are probably as many young black boys under supervision of the city's juvenile detention facilities as there are found in most black Sunday school classes in the city. Think of what we have on our hands. Men, women, boys and girls who are fathers, mothers, sons and daughters, in deep waters, Their lives overflowing with rivers of rejection, defeat, and yes, sorrow. That is the context in which I consider this DC world around us. I'm talking about a district government hell-bent on producing downtown housing for a luxury condo household market that will attract higher income earners, people with degrees, especially advanced degrees, who work in professional jobs and higher management positions, who can afford the downtown lifestyles and spend resources to the level that city leaders will increase, hope and pray, will increase the city's tax base. So while I am encouraged by the array of individuals and organizations who are being recognized for their contributions to this city, my heart breaks over our brokenness. That the city's goal is maintenance, not self-reliance. Someone once said, everyone needs a house to live in, but a supportive family is what builds a home. Home is where values are instilled. Home is where emotional support is provided. Home is where you begin to learn right and wrong and that you should respect your neighbor as well as yourself. And home is where they have to take you in when nobody else will. It was true when I was growing up in Foggy Bottom. It's true today. But the supportive family is missing in too many cases, too many neighborhoods, in the lives of too many kids who didn't ask to be brought into this world. We see the reverse. Juvenile defenders becoming younger and younger. It's no longer a shock to see a 12-year-old kid with a gun has robbed or carjacked somebody. Young girls beating a disabled man to death. Half of black high school students are chronically truant. Most fall short in English and in math assessments. Most juveniles convicted of serious crimes go on to get arrested again once they've been released. Parents losing track of their children. Children losing track of their parents. Schools giving way to gangs. Neighborhoods swallowed in violence and guns. And fathers who could and must make a difference, locked up in the DC jail and in federal penitentiaries around the country. The mayor has a chief goal, which is, quote, add 15,000 residents downtown by 2028 through a 20-year tax abatement. That goal leaves me cold. When I realize we have children walking the streets who won't be around to see that day come true. Through these 85-year-old eyes, I see a Washington, D.C. that is growing in population, thanks to the growth in young and white residents. A Washington, D.C. where black residents are less likely to own homes and 5 times more likely to have incomes below the federal poverty level than white residents. A D.C. in which a disproportionate number of black residents don't have the education to meet the requirements of over 50% of jobs in this city. It bothers me that in 2022, slightly more than half of Black DC youth did not attend school at any time over a 3-month period, whether it be homeschool, high school, or college. But most of all, it sickens me, and I consider it a failure on my part, and maybe others, that so little has been done to address the greatest challenge facing our city, the rebuilding and the strengthening of our families. To overcome the damage and displacement of the family structure that has affected the hearts and minds in ways that are difficult to undo. But we must. For the sake of our children, we must. I'm talking about mothers and fathers and families pulling together in behalf of these young people that they brought into the world. Yes, working together. Besides, as Tina Turner said, what's love got to do with it? Consider the children. And the way we are going, 10 years from now, I think the picture will be pretty much the same. A downtown fixed on accommodating prosperous entertainment venues, outdoor dining, bike lanes, and wealthier white residents, in a city engulfed in racial inequities, and large numbers of Black and brown residents left behind and serviced by social workers and DC agencies that are in effect surrogate families. Back in my day, violence interrupters were called fathers. They were called uncles. They were called grandfathers. They were called church deacons. And I see city leaders 10 years from now standing there, clutching their pearls and uttering, oh dear, how did this happen? And they know damn well, as they knew damn well when they displaced Black Foggy Bottom, they know damn well how it all manages to come to pass. I've spoken beyond my 10 minutes, and I probably overstayed my welcome. And I apologize for that. And I thank you for your time. And to the awardees, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Colby here. Got a minute here, just over here. In appreciation for all that Colby has done for the city over a period of many, many years, the Committee of 100 would like to award you as a certificate of appreciation, honorary membership in the Committee of 100. Thank you.
When's going to take me home now?
Be careful going down these steps here. Thank you again, Mr. King, for all you have done for the city. Our first honoree tonight on our Vision Award ceremony is Nancy MacWood. She's unable to be here, however, because due to family responsibilities out of town with her grandchildren. A longtime Committee of 100 member, Nancy MacWood, an attorney, a community leader, former ANC commissioner, has been a stalwart of the Committee 100 for many years. Serving as Committee of 100 chair and twice as vice chair, Nancy is often seen testifying before the DC Council and Zoning Commission hearings with thoughtful and well-researched policy positions. Her expertise in planning, zoning, historic preservation, and housing is widely recognized and often called upon by the committee and others. She has an encyclopedic knowledge of the comprehensive plan and stands as a champion of equity in planning, housing, and zoning. Nancy represents the best of civic engagement, and we thank her for her continued advocacy. And in recognition of these and other noteworthy accomplishments and for her dedicated service to the Committee of 100 in the city, it is our honor to confer upon her the Committee of 100's Lifetime Achievement Award. We will give her this award when she returns, but let's give applause to all the work that Nancy has done. Our next awardee is, like Nancy MacWood, a longtime Committee of 100 member and valued colleague, Charles J. Robertson. Charles is receiving the Hughes Hargrove Advocacy Award, which was established in honor of former Committee of 100 chair Hughes Hargrove. The award recognizes an individual who consistently advances action and achievement on behalf of the broad mission of the Committee of 100. In recognition of his devotion to the artistic legacy and historic built environment of the United States through authoring books, museum leadership, and extensive community involvement, Charles Robertson, a Texas native, attorney, and Army veteran, is honored by his friends and colleagues of the Committee of 100 for his impressive service to this generation and those to come. Congratulations, Charles. Please come forward to receive this award. Okay. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Our next award of the evening is to the 11th Street Bridge Park. There has been and continues to be buzz around the town for the innovative and compelling vision to reimagine the derelict remains of the 11th Street Freeway Bridge near the Navy Yard, a project of the nonprofit Building Bridges Across the River, OMA and Olin. The OMA and Olin Design Park repurposes the concrete piers in the Anacostia River, creating a new and vibrant civic, recreational, and communal space, symbolically and physically linking two distinct Washington, D.C. neighborhoods. Building Bridges Across the River and its senior vice president, Scott Kratz, are recognized and applauded for their compelling vision and the innovative concept of the 11th Street Bridge Park. Accepting for the 11th Street Bridge is Jessica Smith Lennon, Deputy Director of Building Bridges Across the River. Jessica, please join us to receive this award. Does Phil Mendelson want to come up here for a minute?
So I think that's my cue to do an introduction, no?
Yes, yes. I
Am
don't
I
know if you,
working
I don't know,
right?
do you have enough? I mean, because I was gonna get it. This is all the things that were in your original.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Okay, our next, introducing and presenting the next award is a gentleman, an esteemed public servant we all know, who needs no introduction. Washington, D.C. City Council Chair and Committee of 100 member, Phil Mendelson. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, and good evening. So I am very pleased that I nominated Jim Dougherty for the Lifetime Body of Work Award, and I'm pleased that I nominated him for that because he has a lifetime body of work. And what you were handing me was what I submitted as his nomination, which is page after page of accomplishments, and they really are quite significant. But I'm just going to make a few remarks this way. I met Jim in 1986 when developers were trying to build a road through the northern entrance to Glover Archibald Park. Jim was active in the Sierra Club, had some interest, and we joined forces. This also was connected with the development on Wisconsin Avenue of 4000 Wisconsin, which is where the movie theaters were for a number of years, and a health club. It's a little bit remarkable when one has been around long enough that the building that they protested got deconstructed a couple years ago, and as now there's a completely new, different building there. Such is the way of generations, but Jim was there at the forefront when we started this fight against not just the development, but taking the northern entrance to Glover Archibald Park and making it a road. And I have to say, there are a few instances that I know of where folks have actually been able to get a road ripped up from a park, but that was what we did with Glover Archibald Park, and Jim was in the thick of it. That's how I met him. And I remember I was much younger then, we were trying to figure out how to demonstrate, and this old pro who was 40 years younger came along and said, well, this is kind of how you do it, and the police all showed up. And Jim went over and talked to them, took his hat off, was very polite, spoke to the police, calmed things down. Actually, a couple months later, we had a camp-in at the park, the park, and of course, we wanted to do this legally, so we were protesting building a road in the northern entrance. So we went to the National Park Service. They said, it's not ours, it's the city's, it's a right-of-way. So we went to the city. They said, it's not ours, it's a park. So we never did have a permit for that. In any event, on issue after issue, Jim has been there. Recycling, I learned the term dumpster diving from Jim. Not that I ever dumpster dived, but watched him do it. Jim was very supportive when we put through the first legislation in the council to establish a policy of renewable energy as a goal for energy generation for electricity supplied to the district. Jim was there very much supportive when we passed a tree legislation that seeks to not only protect but expand the tree canopy in the district. They're actually, speaking of roads being ripped up in the park, although I'm not sure this was actually ripped up, I think it was flooded out, Klingle Valley. And, I was on a different side of the issue there for a while, and I remember Jim on the phone to me saying, this is a legacy issue. There are very few opportunities to take a road in a valley and actually convert it to parkland, which is what ultimately we did with Klingle Valley. And I remember that, thinking of this as a legacy issue. I don't think of it as legacy for myself, but legacy for the city, that we've actually were able to change that valley. I think I've tried to say on issue after issue. If I look through the nomination, I could go on for probably another 10 or 15 minutes, and I probably won't, but I'm going to add this, because this is important as well. Jim Dougherty not only has been at the forefront of so many different environmental issues, but he understood the political process. And when we want to change policy with regard to the environment, or anything actually, we have to understand the political process. And Jim has understood that. When he was active in the Sierra Club, using the campaign season and the ability of the Sierra Club to interview and to endorse, was a way of getting us who are elected to adhere more to environmental principles. And then building connections, because that's also important. And not just connections, but relationships, so that he could get on the phone to me and say, hey, it's a legacy issue, or to another council member, and really kind of either how do I want to say this, buck them up or turn them around so that the votes would be there for the policy. And that's an important part, is not just simply understanding the issue, in this case environment, but understanding how to be successful in getting that policy to promote that issue. So that's why I nominated Jim Dougherty for the lifetime body of work, and why I'm pleased that the Committee of 100 selected him for that award. Thank you.
Call Jim up.
Right. Okay, actually, yeah. Oh, we want you to. So I said to Shelly, if Kobe King gets 10 minutes, I want 4. Don't you? And he said, forget about it. So I negotiated 45 seconds to say this. When the email came around last July saying we're going to have this gala on October 17th and we're soliciting nominations for Lifetime Achievement or Lifetime Body of Work, I never heard of it. I said, that's great. This is a no-brainer. It's Phil. And it may take me a couple days to write the memo, but I'm up to it. And then I learned that he'd received it like 10 years ago. So my next idea was, let's give it to him again. Because he's been kicking butt for 10 years, right? And so when you think about my lifetime body of work, it's a pale shadow of his body of work. He's been doing it for 40 years. And I just think he's done more for the city than anyone in history, basically. Go back to Pierre L'Enfant. And so, yeah, please, thank you. So that's it. All right.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Jim. We have choreographed this evening's moderator's duty among several Committee of 100 members to ensure your continued interest and attention. Accordingly, it is my pleasure to introduce Meg McGuire. Meg is a longtime Committee of 100 member and a fierce advocate for affordable housing. She has served as a senior official in the Interior Department and as president of Scenic America. She has authored numerous publications on community planning and conservation. Meg is also a member of this beautiful church, which we heard a lot about from Colby King, in which we are meeting this evening. Meg, I turn the gavel over to you.
Thank you, Shelly. I'm very moved by Colby King's recounting of the history of this church. Thank you. Incorporated in 2019, the Douglas Community Land Trust is making a notable difference in how we think about the nexus of land stewardship and affordable housing in our city. As a community-controlled nonprofit holding a portfolio of 233 permanently affordable housing units, the Land Trust's vision ensures that its properties remain affordable for low-income residents. The Land Trust's model deserves far greater publicity, public support, and incorporation into public policy throughout the city. Come up, please. Accepting on behalf of Douglas Community Land Trust, Kiva Dennis, President and Director, Vaughn Perry, Director of Equity and Sustainability, And I'm sorry that Ginger Rumpf cannot be with us tonight to also accept this award. Thank you again. You are leaders of a wonderful organization, and you're showing what is both possible and enduring. The Committee of 100 recognizes Baldwin House Community Collective for the impressive efforts of young district residents coming together to purchase, to manage, and to call home a small apartment building, turning it into a housing cooperative. This has been an impressive and almost singular story of consultation, fundraising, and working with the media to tell their story in a city where affordable housing is increasingly out of reach for young professionals. Accepting the award for the Baldwin House Community Collective, would you please come up, our tenant stewards, Cam, Zulima Ulolo, Shayna Alexander, and Jen Jenkins. And congratulations as you continue to show what is possible with collaboration and dedication. We are so impressed with what you have achieved. Founded in 1865, the Association of Oldest Inhabitants of D.C. has maintained its longstanding commitment to preserve our city's heritage. The association has been a staunch and effective advocate for both the historic built environment and for the DC archives. And when it comes to educating the next generation about our city's history, the association has made an unequaled difference over the years. To Bill Brown, President Emeritus of the Oldest Inhabitants, special congratulations, gratitude, and affection on 20 years of outstanding leadership of the association. For that, and for the longstanding partnership and support of the Committee of 100, this award we confer as a Vision Award on the Association of Oldest Inhabitants.
I was just supposed to be her wingman. And I said, Cindy, in keeping with your occupation as a professor of history at American University, I would be remiss if I didn't say a couple of words that I think the founders of our organization would have thought 159 years ago about the Committee of 100 now celebrating their 101st anniversary. So this is a little brief, just a real snippet of a history lesson that 159 years ago, 31 prominent Washingtonians, all white gentlemen, 3 ex-mayors and all, what would they think that nearly 160 years later, their work would be recognized by the esteemed organization as the Committee of 100? That's the first thing to ponder. What would they think that one of their own, this is a little risque, would have fathered an out-of-wedlock daughter who'd marry a prominent black Washingtonian who'd established their own AOI colored in 1912. What would they think of that? What would they have thought to learn that in 1908, their successors would welcome into their organization the last members of the Veteran Volunteer Firemen's Association, inherit their firehouse at 19th and H Street, distribute hundreds of artifacts to the Smithsonian, Navy Museum, the Historical Society, and later realize $55,000 in proceeds from the sale of that building. And what would they have thought to learn that those proceeds, along with $15,000 from their longest-serving president, Theodore Noyes of the Washington Star, would fund nearly $500,000 in years in support over the next 60 years. What an unforeseen World War ending in 1918 would result in 530 DC war dead, and that 92 years later, their organization would not only save an iconic DC war memorial on the Mall, but at the encouragement of Phil Mendelson, yes, on their 90th anniversary of that observance, would 10 years later, on the centennial of the dedication of the 16th Street Tree Memorial in honor of the DC World War I dead, would commemorate and rededicate that 2-mile-long stretch of a memorial dedicated to those 530 DC war dead. What indeed would they have thought? Thank you very much for the award. And thank you for the history lesson.
The Committee of 100 recognizes R. McGhee and Associates for the thoughtful and masterful restoration and adaptive reuse of civil rights icon Mary Church Terrell's home as a living museum and community gathering place in the LaDroit Park neighborhood of the nation's capital. The achievement not only preserves an important national landmark, but it also creates a place for strengthening local community bonds, identity, and education. Accepting on behalf of McGhee and Associates, Ronnie McGhee, FAIA principal, Patrick Collenberg, project manager, and Tanisha Hand, senior interior designer. Will you come forward? So to all of you, please make a point of visiting the Terrell House to learn about a significant civil rights icon and hero, and to see a masterfully accomplished restoration project. It seems to be on 16th Street Northwest. 326 T Street Northwest, excuse me. I haven't been there yet, so I'm going to go. Longtime Committee of 100 member and leader Laura Richards will confer our next awards. Former chair of our organization, Laura Richards has influenced every iteration of the city's comprehensive plan since the 1980s. She was and remains a vigorous defender of the district's 1910 Height Act and a strong proponent of a public voice in planning. Laura.
Good evening. It's wonderful to see you all out, and thanks to all the nominations that produced a really diverse and citywide and cross kind of cultural set of honorees this year. So, but our next award is going to John Lawrence Hargrove, who will receive the Barbara Zartman Award for Planning and Zoning Advocacy. Okay. Yeah. I see a lot of people know Larry, yes. Larry, to his many friends and admirers, brings unprecedented analytical depth and legal expertise to critical public policy matters throughout the city. He is committed to due process. That matters as much to him as the substance of a decision. He doesn't want it reached in a haphazard way. He can take the Federal Register or the DC Register apart better than anyone I know. He is abetted by his trademark wry sense of humor, which has earned all of these things have earned him the affection, gratitude, and respect of fellow activists across the city, especially the Kalorama Citizens Association. It has also earned him the trepidation of zoning and planning authorities who see him coming and tremble. Larry formerly was Assistant Attorney General of the state of Texas and Senior Advisor to the U.S. Mission to the United Nations. He generously provides frequent pro bono representation to people appearing before the BZA, the Zoning Commission, and the Court of Appeals. One cannot mention Larry without thinking of his longtime partner in life and activism, Hughes Hargrove, whose work continues to inspire us. Larry, please come forward to receive the gratitude of the Committee of 100. That doesn't tell the half of it. Okay. Our next award goes to the F.H. Fauntleroy Community Enrichment Center Resilience Hub. It's in Ward 7, my home ward. It's the first such hub in the city. And as such, it serves as an incubator as additional resilience hubs come online, we hope citywide. The Ward 7 Incubator Hub was born in response to the 2008 Climate Plan and Vulnerability Report. And not surprisingly, that report concluded that climate change will have a disproportionate impact east of the river where our least, I guess our most impoverished citizens live, and those who have taken the brunt of, I guess, polluting facilities and institutions. So the Resilience Center Hub engages in resident-led community and environmental stewardship, and it provides opportunities for enrichment and education on these issues to the residents within its bailiwick. Its programs are designed to prepare for climate disruption and to help communities recover should those disruptions occur. And its new facilities use, so they're solar powered to a large extent, and they also are using all of the greatest recycling methods. And I believe a community garden is or will be part of this Resilience Center. Will those receiving the award, including the Committee of 100's valued member, Dennis Chestnut, please come forward. Okay. Dennis is the board chair of the hub, and the other recipient is Dr. Estelle Marie Montgomery, and she is executive director of the F.H. Fauntleroy Center. Great. 45 seconds.
I just want to take 45 seconds to let you all know that the Resilience Incubator is in the midst of a build-out and solar and battery backup project, and I thought it was important for you to know who all are supporting this effort. The solar and battery backup project is made possible by a grant by DOEE. The first seed money that came in for the build-out was a result of a nomination from our Congresswoman Holmes Norton for a community project fund, which provided us $910,000. By the way, the solar and battery backup project was $540,000. That was Holmes Norton nomination for the HUD Community Project Fund was fiscal year 22. In fiscal year 24, we submitted again, and she selected us again, and that allowed us an additional $850,000. But we still had a gap. And just recently, that gap was filled by the department, the Deputy Mayor's Office for Planning and Economic Development. So I just want to say that between DC funding and federal funding, the Resilience Hub at your ward is going to become a reality by next summer.
Yep. So, as a resident of the ward, I know how hard it is to get resources and nice amenities over there. So, their grit really, really is impressive. And next, we are going to recognize the Lisner home. The Lisner home is one of the city's preeminent providers of low-income housing for senior citizens, and it has long fulfilled that function. Recently, it renovated its building, and it also added a very substantial addition. The renovation was done with great sensitivity. It's true to the historic context, and the renovated home maintains the distinguished interior and other features of this building. In addition, the new addition, which will provide another 93 units for seniors, was created with extensive consultation with the neighbors to make sure that it maintained the neighborhood character. And I know some people say that's a dirty word. It is not. It is what makes our city livable and lovable. And finally, the Lisner home renovation and additions were built with, in part, with a housing production trust fund loan. And that kind of financing is a first for Ward 3. And we hope that it will be the first of many low-income housing projects there. So come on up and get your awards. And
You skipped over this one.
okay, I sure did. Accepting on behalf of the Abraham and Laura Lisner Home for the Women are Robert Cooper, Board President, okay, Ward Oram, CEO, and Susan Hargraves, Administrator. Oops, why did I do that? Okay, one more picture? Yeah, get the picture. Great, okay. And now we come down from Ward 3 to downtown and look at the, to honor the Trust for the National Mall. The Trust for the National Mall is congratulated for the innovative and thought-provoking Beyond Granite Pulling Together. That was a temporary art exhibition on the mall that was there throughout the summer of 2023. I don't know how many of you were able to see it, but it was great. It's the first such curated outdoor exhibition on the mall,
And the goal was to explore how a series of temporary art installations could affect the civic dialogue of commemoration among the existing mall monuments. By unanimous accord, it was a remarkable success. Okay, and I think, have we done all of our slides here? Yes. Yep. And as you know, we started moving beyond the man on the horse, notably with our Vietnam War Memorial. And they are continuing to explore how to update and bring innovations to mall sculpture and other works. So those receiving are Teresa Durkin, the Executive Vice President of the Trust for the National Mall, Marcela Costa, Executive Director of the National Capital Planning Commission, and Laura Wilson, who's the Senior Program Manager for the Trust for the National Mall. And there should be one more person here.
Joanna's here.
Okay. Joanna McCrean, she's the Urban Planner with NCPC. So thanks for your really good work. So congratulations to both the Trust and the NCPC. Each hold in trust for this and future generations one of the nation's and one of the world's most recognizable and significant public spaces. So it's back to you, Shelly.
Thank you, Laura. It's now time for our last award of this evening. Collaborating with Black farmers to source fresh produce for the city, Dreaming Out Loud rebuilds urban community-based food systems through cooperative social enterprises targeting low-income communities east of the river. From the availability of fresh, healthy food to emergency food boxes to a soon-to-be opened market, founder Christopher Bradshaw and the Dreaming Out Loud team make an immeasurable contribution to the health and well-being of the citizens of the nation's capital. Come on up here, people from the Dreaming Out Loud. What a remarkable record of achievement from all of the awardees this evening. Please join me in congratulating all of this evening's awardees. It is people and organizations like these, as well as the 700,000 residents who live here, that make the nation's capital a unique and a wonderful place to live, which we all want to live here. Congratulations to all of you. Finally, I want to acknowledge and thank this evening's sponsors. They're listed on the screen up above and in your program. Without their generosity and commitment tonight, without their generosity and commitment, tonight would not have happened. And I also want to thank Pat Tiller. Where's Pat? There he is. There's Pat Tiller. Without his hard work, Committee of 100 member Pat Tiller, without his hard work over many months, we would not be able to put on this event this evening. So thank you, Pat.
This was not planned. The caterer ran into traffic and they're just unloading now. So you come out, go to the right, and get something to drink, stay in here and mingle, and wait for the all clear sign. So we apologize. The caterer is worth waiting for.
Yes.
Not having one line long enough. Thank you.
And finally, I want to thank all of you. You know, this is a wonderful crowd. You know, there's been no Committee of 100 event that I've been to that this many people have come to. So, it warms my heart to see everybody here. So thank you for coming this evening. We trust that you have enjoyed seeing your fellow citizens honored for their remarkable talents and accomplishments. Would all the awardees come up here? We're going to take a picture of all the awardees. So would you come up over here, please? And while the people are going up there for the picture, I guess right now you can go out and have wine and beer and soda, and there'll be food out there. There'll be food out there eventually. I also hope that this evening's presentation and awards have sparked interest in some of you or all of you in the Committee of 100. The Committee of 100 is a welcoming organization. If you want to talk to us about membership, please talk to any of the Committee 100 members. So thank you.